05:17 hours. Central traffic separation lane. Strait of Hormuz. Dawn light lies flat across black water, tanker running lights barely trembling in the haze. Then every console in the destroyer's Combat Information Center screams at once. Spy 1D arrays and surface search radar resolve the picture in seconds. 12 inbound sea-skimming missiles, 31 fast surface contacts, 2 one-way attack drones, 1 submerged anomaly moving north of Larak Island. The scale is instantly clear. This is not harassment, it is a closure attempt. 11 merchant hulls sit inside the lane carrying crude, condensate, refined product, and LNG, cargoes tied to a market exposure pushing toward $100 billion if the choke point freezes even briefly. The Tactical Action Officer orders General Quarters. Fifth Fleet air controllers shove the strike package forward. No voice rises, no order repeats. Every screen now shows the same truth. The battle space is about to ignite. At 05:19 hours, the first layer moves from the air. An E-2D Hawkeye widens the picture to 96 nautical miles. Electronic support measures identify multiple coastal fire control emissions from Keshem and the Iranian littoral opposite Musandam. An EA-18G Growler begins standoff jamming. 2 F-16CMs, already on barrier patrol, roll south and lock onto a pair of mobile anti-ship missile vehicles, breaking camouflage near a shoreline revetment. AGM-65 Mavericks separate cleanly. Missiles away. Impact in 14 seconds. 2 direct hits. The launch trucks vanish inside orange dust and secondary detonations. At 05:21 hours, the second air layer joins. A pair of FA-18E Super Hornets sweeps low over the convoy axis and designates 3 fast attack craft pushing 42 knots from the Iranian coast. Infrared seekers stabilize. Precision glide munitions fall first, then cannon fire. 1 lead boat vaporizes, another slews sideways, burning from stern to bow. The remaining craft keep coming. No evasive break, no reduction in speed. The swarm doctrine is obvious. Saturate, confuse, close, and strike inside overlapping engagement envelopes. At 05:23 hours, the missile raid crosses 32 nautical miles. Aegis takes the shot. Vertical launch cells thunder open. 4 SM-2 interceptors claw upward and turn hard east. The sky flashes white against the morning haze. 3 Iranian missiles disappear from the scope immediately. A 4th survives the first engagement, descending lower, skimming rough water at high subsonic speed. The destroyer's weapons control officer does not wait. 2 RIM 162 ESSMs launch seconds later. Time to intercept. 11 seconds. 1 clean kill. Debris rains into the channel. At 05:25 hours, the surface picture worsens. The 31 fast contacts fragment into 3 attack groups at ranges between 18 and 11 nautical miles. 4 appear configured as rocket boats. 6 more hold the tighter geometry of probable explosive-laden suicide craft. The convoy commodore orders maximum lane discipline. Merchant captains do not scatter. They maintain bearing and speed under escort doctrine. That decision matters. It keeps arcs clear. It keeps radar honest. It gives the warships room to kill. At 05:27 hours, an MH-60R Seahawk lifts from the aft deck and drives toward the submerged contact. Sonobuoys splash in a quick ladder pattern. Acoustic returns sharpen almost immediately. Narrow hull, slow turn, transient machinery noise, consistent with a Gadir-class midget submarine attempting to position for mine release. The helicopter dips again for confirmation. It gets it. Mark 54 torpedo away. The weapon punches into the sea, acquires, and runs. 8 seconds. Then the water column erupts straight up, black at the base, silver at the crest. The submarine contact disappears forever. At 05:29 hours, the missile raid is not over. 4 more sea skimmers emerge from coastal clutter at 14 nautical miles, using the shoreline as masking terrain. The cruiser on the convoy's flank executes the next step in the layered defense. 2 ESSMs, then 2 more. The first pair kills 1 inbound at 9 nautical miles. The second pair shatters another at 7.3. A third missile breaks apart from jamming and tumbles into the sea. The 4th keeps flying, low, fast, hunting the largest radar cross-section in the lane. At 05:31 hours, shipboard guns enter the fight. The destroyer's Mk-45 5-inch gun opens at 8.6 nautical miles against the northern swarm group. High explosive rounds bracket the formation, then walk into it. 1 boat breaks in half. Another is thrown clear of the water. Fragments slice into a third and leave it dead in the wake. On the starboard beam, Mk-38 Mod 4 30mm mounts start stitching tracer across the waterline of two incoming craft at 4,200 yards. The impacts are immediate. Fuel flashes, hulls yaw, men go overboard. At 05:33 hours, the surviving Iranian boats commit fully. 17 are still moving. Range drops through 5 nautical miles. The convoy lane narrows into a killbox of spray, smoke, and overlapping muzzle flashes. The Seahawk returns from the submarine kill and immediately re-enters the surface fight, calling targets and relaying laser spots. A second wave of fixed-wing aircraft arrives overhead. Rockets and strafing fire punish the southern attack group. 3 boats vanish inside converging explosions. 2 more lose power and drift. Black smoke pouring out of ruptured engine compartments. At 05:35 hours, the Leaker missile finally appears on terminal approach, 1.8 nautical miles, sea skimming, weaving, still tracking. The destroyer turns slightly to unmask the mount. Phalanx CIWS comes alive with its unmistakable mechanical scream. A stream of 20mm tungsten tears into the inbound at 1.2 nautical miles. For half a second, it holds course. Then it disintegrates. The warhead detonates short. Shock rolls over the convoy. Fragments slap the sea like heavy rain. No hull is hit. The last line holds. At 05:37 hours, close combat begins. Range is now measured in yards, not miles. 11 Iranian boats remain in the inner ring. They try to split the escorts. They try to force the merchant ships to sheer out of lane. The destroyer answers with speed, rudder, and fire. A rocket salvo from one fast craft misses wide and detonates harmlessly astern of a tanker. Seconds later, that boat is obliterated by combined 30mm fire and helicopter-launched rockets. Another attempts a portside dash toward a gas carrier. A burst from the forward gunhouse shatters it before impact. At 05:39 hours, the sky erupts. 12 impacts. Simultaneous detonations. A delayed chain of secondaries runs through disabled attack craft still carrying ammunition. Burning debris skips across the chop. One Iranian drone dives late through the smoke and is caught by electronic warfare first, then by concentrated gunfire from the cruiser. It cartwheels into the water 600 yards off the convoy's bow. The second drone penetrates farther. Too far. It strikes the sea beside a Panamanian-flagged tanker and showers the hull with fragments. 3 civilian mariners are wounded. The ship stays afloat and in column. At 05:41 hours, the northern swarm collapses completely. 5 boats are burning. 3 are sinking. 2 crews wave improvised distress signals from the water. Their attack run finished. Their formation shattered. The southern group makes one last charge at 38 knots. It lasts 46 seconds. Airburst rounds from the 5-inch gun bracket the lead pair. Helicopter fire kills the third. The fourth detonates violently after a hit near the bow, likely from its own packed explosives. The blast throws spray higher than the masthead. Nothing emerges from it. At 05:43 hours, the remaining missile threat is gone, but the surface action is still savage. A crippled rocket boat drifts into the convoy track and threatens collision. Boarding teams are impossible under fire. The destroyer solves the problem with a controlled burst from the port Mk-38. The hull folds inward and sinks. Another disabled craft tries to transmit targeting data from less than 2,000 yards. A sniper team on the escorting ship suppresses the deck, and naval gunfire finishes the rest. The water between the merchant hulls is now littered with burning fuel, shattered engines, and men calling into radios that no longer control anything. At 05:46 hours, it is effectively over. 23 Iranian boats have been destroyed. 6 more are disabled and dead in the water. 1 Ghadir-class submarine is sunk. All 12 anti-ship missiles are defeated. Both attack drones are eliminated. Time elapsed since first rupture, 29 minutes. Estimated Iranian casualties already exceed 140 killed or missing, with dozens more in the water. United States losses remain astonishingly light by comparison. No ships lost, no aircraft hit, no fatalities. 4 sailors are treated for concussion and fragment wounds. 3 civilian mariners are stabilized by Navy corpsmen on a flight deck that still smells of propellant and burning fuel. By 05:52 hours, rescue operations begin under armed overwatch. RHIBs move first toward civilian survivors from a damaged support dhow, and then toward Iranian personnel floating near wreckage fields, because the rules of war do not disappear with the smoke. Damage control parties inspect every escort. One destroyer shows superficial shrapnel pitting above the waterline. A tanker carries fragment scars and a punctured topside pipe run, but no flooding below the main deck. The gas carrier nearest the inner action ring reports no penetration. Merchant crews, shaken and half-deaf, remain on station. At Aero 5:58 hours, explosive ordnance teams mark suspected mine objects and route clearance helicopters begin preparation for follow-on sweeps. The convoy never breaks formation. That fact becomes the operational symbol of the morning. 35 minutes after initial contact, the shipping lane is still moving westbound. 41 minutes after initial contact, the first medevac bird lifts with the wounded mariners and 2 badly burned survivors pulled from an Iranian hull. At 06:03 hours, silence finally settles over the strait. It is not peace. It is the mechanical silence that follows total weapons dominance. The tactical lessons were immediate. Iran's asymmetric maritime doctrine remains dangerous only so long as it can compress time, clutter, and geography into a single, overwhelming moment. Once layered surveillance holds the picture together, the swarm loses its greatest advantage. Airborne early warning extends the battle space. Electronic attack fractures missile salvos before impact. Aegis pushes the outer wall far enough from the convoy to prevent panic and preserve command coherence. Helicopter prosecution of the underwater threat denies the mine and submarine component that traditionally gives closure attempts their staying power. The result is brutally simple. The defenders engage by range, not by fear. Long-range air assets strip launchers and disrupt command nodes. Shipboard missiles clean the medium envelope. Guns and phalanx finish what leaks through. In narrow water, disciplined sequencing matters more than raw volume of fire. Strategic ramifications cascaded within hours. Energy desks from Singapore to Rotterdam recalculated risk premiums. Insurers repriced Gulf transits in real time. Regional governments watched the same lesson unfold on their screens. The Strait of Hormuz can be threatened quickly, but sealing it against prepared naval forces is far harder than closing headlines suggest. That distinction matters because roughly 1/5 of global petroleum liquids still moves through this corridor. Even a brief interruption shakes freight rates, LNG schedules, refinery inputs, and sovereign budgets. An attempted closure therefore targets not only ships at sea, but the political psychology of every state tied to imported energy. When that attempt fails visibly and decisively, deterrence does not merely return, it hardens. This engagement fundamentally reshaped the regional military conversation because it exposed the limits of mass without integration. Iran generated missiles, drones, swarm boats, and submarine activity at once, but it could not sustain a coherent kill chain under persistent surveillance and rapid cross-domain response. Gulf partners draw one conclusion from that. Maritime security depends less on static presence than on integrated sensing, common operating pictures, and practiced convoy doctrine. Washington draws another. Low-cost threats still demand expensive readiness, but readiness works when doctrine is rehearsed and authorities are clear. Tehran, meanwhile, confronts the harsh arithmetic of failed closure strategy. Every destroyed fast craft is replaceable. Every shattered illusion of control is not. The political cost of demonstrating inability in one of the world's most scrutinized waterways can exceed the material loss of the boats themselves. There is also a wider doctrinal echo. Modern chokepoint warfare is no longer a contest between hulls alone. It is a struggle over timelines. Who sees first, classifies first, assigns first, and kills first? The side that compresses sensor-to-shooter latency wins disproportionate advantage, especially in congested littoral waters, where civilian traffic complicates every firing solution. That is why the morning in Hormuz reverberates beyond the Gulf. Naval planners in the Taiwan Strait, the Bab el-Mandeb, and the Eastern Mediterranean study the same sequence and note the same truth. Presence is not enough. Presence fused to layered fires, resilient command networks, and disciplined merchant coordination is what keeps sea lanes open when states decide to gamble with escalation. In 46 minutes, an attempted strangulation of the world's most critical energy choke point collapsed into burning wreckage, drowned engines, and a convoy that never stopped moving. Markets remembered the danger, militaries remembered the method. The strait remains open not through negotiation, but through demonstrated capability.